a former prisoner of Ferrari, and the invention of the most luxurious car. He was a prisoner, but the prison walls did not imprison his minds, and this led him to invent the most luxurious car of our time. An uncommon but interesting story of how Ferrari essentially drove a former prisoner of war into inventing the most luxurious car. It's crazy how certain things came to fruition from unexpected places. The year was 1916. The world was in the midst of a world war. But deep in a quiet little farm in Renazzo, Italy, a young boy, Ferruccio Lamborghini, was born. His parents were not exceptionally wealthy, but they made a decent enough living growing grapes, which they used to make wine. At a young age, when Ferruccio learned to make quality products. In the grand scheme of things, his parents never once imagined where this experience and skill sets would lead him to. Their intention was that young Ferruccio would follow their footsteps. This was not so. Instead, he opted to explore his passion for engineering. He studied mechanics extensively at the Fratelli Teddy Technical Institute, where he would also go on to train with a master blacksmith who taught him a lot of tricks of the trade that he would employ during his later years. Ferruccio was all but certain that he could score a job at his factory of choice, so he shot for the stars and applied to the one of his dreams, Cavalier Righi. It was clear that he got a little ahead of himself, as his experience wasn't enough to make a solid impression on them, and he was ultimately rejected. Now, while Ferruccio could have let this moment define him and simply given up on his dreams and aspirations, he decided that he wouldn't take no for an answer, and persisted till the owner eventually let him join the company. When the World War II started, Ferruccio was forced to abandon his career and was drafted into the military, where he would work as a mechanic. The moment Italy surrendered, German forces took over and evicted the Italians, while the Allied forces arrived and captured a bunch of prisoners. Ferruccio was one of those captured prisoners of war. It, however, did not take long, and they discovered his rather impressive engineering skills, and they immediately put him to work repairing their vehicles. After serving a one-year prison term, he was permitted to return home to Italy. On reaching Italy, Ferruccio would go straight into his workshop, and it was there he kept himself busy by working on old war vehicles and tractors with nothing but some old tools, his experience, and a bunch of random spare parts. Little did he know, something great was about to happen that would once again alter the course of his life, this time for the better. One day, Ferruccio would get a visit that changed things forever. His father came to see him and wanted help with operating a new tractor that he had brought on his farm. His father asked if he would be able to help, being that he was an expert in engineering and all things mechanical. When Ferruccio arrived at the father's farm, he found tractor parts laying all over the workshop. Instead of just fixing the tractor for his dear old dad and moving on, the aha moment was in front of him. He came to the realization that Italy desperately required better equipment if they wanted to increase agricultural production. This was more urgent so as to better recover from the negative impacts that the World War II had brought to the agriculture sector. The journey began. Ferruccio started assembling the tractor by using old unused military equipment that was just lying around his workshop. This new creation of his possessed a British Morris engine that ran on diesel, which was more cost-effective, thus making it more affordable and innovative than any other tractor during the time. This was the foundation of Lamborghini Trattori, his new company, and more impressively, it still exists today. The tractor sales exceeded all expectations, but he would end up requiring far more capital for production. This prompted his father to take out a huge risk, which would have him put the farm up as collateral in order to get for his son a sizable loan. Knowing how popular Lamborghini is today, it is no-brainer to say that the risk paid its dividends many times over, opening the door to a new path of success. At this rate, it didn't take long for the company to become one of the biggest manufacturers of its kind in Italy. With this great success, Ferruccio would go on to celebrate and enjoy life, reaping the benefits of his inventions and living a luxurious lifestyle. He then started collecting sports cars, such as Jaguars, Mercedes, and Ferraris, but one Ferrari he owned was largely problematic for him and always breaking down. For an expert in engineering, this was unacceptable and the beginning of an even greater opportunity. Given that Ferruccio was no stranger to engineering, it didn't take him long to figure out what the problem was. While diagnosing the issue, he learned that the clutch was identical to the ones he used in his tractors, so instead of replacing the part from a different car, Ferruccio went straight to Enzo Ferrari himself to discuss the issue. This didn't go as planned, and Enzo dismissed Ferruccio, saying that the problem was Ferruccio and not his car. This prompted Ferruccio to create his own sports car as a means of proving Enzo wrong. The car he would eventually create, a symbol of speed, luxury, and wealth, was unveiled for the first time at the Turin Motor Show and received an incredibly overwhelming amount of positive feedback. Ferruccio hence proved to Enzo that he was not the problem, but that he also showed that he has the capability of building luxury machinery. While there would be a little turbulence for Lamborghini from then until now, it was nothing that the luxury company couldn't handle. It may be worth noting that Lamborghini was amongst the Italian corporations to win the 2022 Randstad Employer Brand Research Award. The Urus is what you would call a champion among champions. This beautiful and powerful car was favored around the world by magazines and their readers. Some awards it won are the German magazine Automotor und Sports Best Car in the large SUV category, German magazine Sport Auto Best SUV in the imported car category. Germany's Off-Road gave the Urus the Off-Road Award for 2021. Lamborghini is extravagant and luxurious and comfortable and fast, and as it's ever been, as it remains one of the most coveted car manufacturers of all time. And to think the whole thing essentially began because of Ferrari's lackluster clutches and by a former prisoner. Indeed, nothing is impossible to all who believe. Subscribe to enjoy more of such content. Have a great day.